Hi, I am Leo, a stop-motion kid, and welcome to this stop-motion. Last time, we learned the story of the entity. Blah! Today, I'm DJ Llama, and today we get the story of an acorn. But first, Star Wars battles! Hi-ya! Haha, you can't stop me! I'm a sucker! Oh, I'm the best! Yeah, well, I have friends! Really? Let me get this in force. Yes, I do. Die! God, I am Groot! That was good. I'm sorry. Oh, Grass, I miss you in this chaos. Haha! Oh no! I'm just an acorn. Let me tell you the story of an acorn. An acorn so small that did so much. Since it grew, it had grown so much and blossomed, yet never changed. He was a single Lego cheese slope in the whole Lego city. A single acorn, destined to save the world. As Acorn wakes up in his tent in his wildlife reserve, he wonders what will come of him. Scared, nervous, exhausted, he starts to stay off of what he always does, which is feeding some of the extraterrestrial species that had recently started developing around the world. An hour later, he reluctantly eats his cold, tasteless breakfast he had from the night before. Savors every single bite. For the apocalypses and wars led by sinful, vile demons, the spiteful and toxic devil, many plants had been destroyed and the entire forest had been obliterated. Attracted like a moth to a flame, the aliens looked down from above. Eventually, they came down peacefully to check out the problems. More and more came, and the humans created a bias based on only the worst, and assumed all were. Eventually, fair rights and laws triumphant. An acorn ran to the king, begging that they didn't get sent back. He offered to build a reserve and look after them and their sparse plants and the corruption they did. And so, Acorn had to sacrifice all his savings, and even his cottage he lived in. Acorn didn't know why he cared for them so much, but he just felt connected to them, related. He was tired of the turmoil that was colossally out of his control. He had no chance. He was a single acorn in the whole world. Acorn didn't know why his parents named him Acorn, because his parents abandoned him at a young age. And he was sent to the real world at such a young age. He was put in childcare, but he knew saving the animals was his mission, his destiny. One day,
5 minutes.
When Acorn was foraging around the town for any penny he could find, and food he could feed his animals, he saw a beautiful girl with eyes as sparkling as stars and hair as flowing as a waterfall. She was a queen of hearts, beheading all feelings with her dreamy gaze. However, Acorn knew the only person who will ever love him was any birds he saw on his walks. And even though he did only meet them looking food, he thought to himself, as he stood there, feeling ashamed and feeling as worthless as a shattered mug, the girl walked towards him and almost skipped, as dreamy as the clouds. He could almost work out the letters on her badge. And those were E-B-I-E. She had a look of pondering on her face, one eyebrow high and the other low. Acorn. A few days later, Acorn was back in the park, watching UV feed the aliens.
when, in the distance, he saw a small wooden store. The strange, enormous entity standing at it. It did look like the aliens on history's Earth. It looked more darker and humanoid. Its armor shimmered like amethyst. And eyes was as dark as onyx. Curious and confused, Acorn went closer to this creature. Then he read the sign. He couldn't work out what it was, but it said Evie, so he thought it was good.
The creature spoke to him, saying his crystals will make all your dreams come true. Acorn chose the amethyst. But before he go, the creature said, "But remember, for I am the Crystal King." He put it in his pocket and went to look for Evie.
As soon as Acorn laid his eyes on Evie again, he once again felt as if he was watching a unicorn. But this time, he felt as confident as a llama. He eagerly walked towards Evie. With each step firm and arm movement wide, Acorn jumped into this new world of mystery, surprise, and magic by saying the hardest sentence of his life. "Hello. Hi, my name's Evie, and I'm the Park's junior wildlife vet. I'm also a nurse. How may I help you?" chirped Evie. "I'm red as a poppy and yellow as a sunflower." "Hello, I'm Acorn." And he got stuck, as if a demon had stolen his voice and returned for his legs. However, Evie continued the conversation, seeing an introverted nod. "Acorn? That's such an interesting but great name. How come?" And so, Acorn explained. My parents abandoned me when I was super young, and the person who found me just tripped. And then Acorn, almost showing its power, and I ran. But he caught me, holding the acorn. From that, I took the name Acorn, and it stuck. Evie was so interested, but she had to fulfill her duty. And so she asked, "OMG! That is absolutely perfect for my rom-com." "Rom-com?" Acorn responded. "Romance comedy." Anyway. So, how may I help you? I'm being serious now. How may I help you? Mayo? Look for Central Park. And Acorn realized this moment was perfect. He blurted out, "Look, I love you, and even if I'm a disaster, with love's like wings, did I overperch these walls. And what love can do, without dare love attempt." "What?" said Evie. "I have a crush on you," spoke Acorn shakingly. "Same here," replied Evie, making Acorn feel safe. So it's official. They're ready to go dating and be a couple. How do I stop words? After a month had passed, and Acorn and Evie had been on many dates and spent lots of time together, dancing and enjoying their lives. However, in all that time, Evie had never been to Acorn's home. Whenever she asked, Acorn had to come up with a quick excuse, such as a meeting or finance sort. However, Acorn knew this wasn't true, making him feel as if he was hiding behind a mask, like a ninja, going through all the danger to save everyone, but never truly making friends. Acorn didn't want to lie to his girlfriend forever, and so he decided to finally tell Evie. She was shocked, yet also empathetic. And he did. I just want to ask for a wedding, but we need money for that. Oh well, I'll ask Leo and DJ Lama for investment. There's no way we can do that. Well, I guess we need a way to make money quick in large amounts, spoke Evie. Acorn interjected, and fund my reserve. He still couldn't lose the reserve. To him, it was like his child, his baby. Felt like a part of him. And so, he tried it all. He tried selling stuff. Stores, being a police, bartender, ticket seller, miner, pet sitter, and the park's junior wildlife vet. He tried all of these many jobs and eventually he became a wildlife vet in the park. His animals had to stay out. However, he nearly truly forgot them, and so they were still in Acorn, destined to save the world. Acorn had been the park's wildlife vet for months, but also in charge of his reserve. And eventually, dressed, anxious, and his animals' misconduct, he sent an email from Central Computer using an email address he created himself called Acorn to the park's owner. Then he went home and promised his alien safety. The next evening, Evie walked up to him. However, something looked strange and slightly off. She looked sadder than usual, grumpier than usual. Her eyes looked crueler and explosive. The steps looked harder and stompier. Are you okay? Asked Acorn generally. The aliens are allowed now. Maybe sell your reserve for money. She, if it was truly her, spoke firmly and like a teacher. Acorn was slightly skeptical, but Acorn knew he could trust Evie with his life, and so he overall believed her. And so he went. As Acorn bought the venue, hoping to later sell his reserve to fund the rest. However, when he had just bought it and went from the heavens to the hell of economy, Evie ran and screamed, "What are you doing? Just because you found a request doesn't mean they're in. Look, whoever told you it lied to you. They were a liar. Acorn, we need to find whoever sold you the venue and get a refund." However, before Acorn could chase after the man in a purple smoke smelling like ashes of those before them, thunder struck as he yelled, "Greetings, Acorn! Here's the deal. I'm about to start a war with my army to end your world, and there's nothing you can do, for you're a puny little acorn. However, if you sell me your reserve, I will trap you in limbo and you can have your fantasy little wedding in another dimension. So, what do you do, Acorn? This is your only choice. I won't give you any other. This is it. So, do you accept the deal?" Acorn thought if he had any other choice, but he did, so he said sure, and the war began. "Very well, please sign here." He signed and ran for his life. Since the Crystal King launched his attack, the world had descended into chaos. There was riots in the restaurants, fights in what used to be their dream homes. The authorities had given up their power, and the Crystal Empire had made new rules to worship the Crystal Overlord. You could see how toxic spider venom had made it, and dangerous the city was. The monastery had become a trading center for the guards of the base. Acorn's reserve. All the aliens were forced out. The Crystal King had renovated to add insult to Acorn's injuries. You could hear the shouts and cries of the innocent dragged down to hell by the situation. Some blamed the Crystal King, some blamed Acorn, and some blamed the entity. All that mattered was they had to run to the secret shelter. "Get in!" screamed Acorn to Evie's pet snail. It seemed to be some sort of alien hybrid that was big and orange. Its antennas wiggled over its head as if it was at a dance party. Evie had named it Little G, the G standing for green, an Irish word meaning sun. "Please hurry, Little G," spoke Evie, watching Green worm his way over. Acorn felt as close to death as an 100-year-old and hated as we hate taxes. He felt as if it were his fault, and he released the demon somehow. Right, who is helping us again? Asked Acorn calmly, trying to seem as chill as ice. Well, meet Adana. She's one of the park's scout leaders. She leads explorations in the forest. Yeah, well, I also go out on adventures and camping trips with my adventure mates. We've been looking for a bunch of dungeons for the concealing amethyst of the Overlord. I think it might have it, he muttered, sounding as chill as ice. That's when Acorn realized he bought it from the Crystal King. Then he realized what science said.
After he created the many realms, he realized he had also created evil creatures. This was on his love of satisfaction. He called his inner own. Deep down, he realized peace was boring, so he decided to make conflict to represent the conflict between his Oni and dragon sides. The Oni learned from him and created the amethyst and trapped the first elephant to a master in it. But so, they began. Later, they created a plan, and it was time to attack.
Behind the walls of the fence, they looked in to see what was happening. The new Onis were ready to defend. Acorn and Adana scaled the walls of this new Hell's army, and they were charged into fight. And they did fight. Hiya! Hi, dummy! I'm the entity! What's your name? I'm the dark entity! Hiya! Join the force! We are not in Star Wars! So, what's Scotland like? So, you like pain so much, Acorn? Acorn, I am your father. Well, what shall I kill, Evie? They were invincible. Acorn looked over to Evie to witness her being struck to the ground by the Crystal King. No! Screamed Acorn, running towards Evie. However, before Acorn could jump in to save her, she was already gone.
Mwahaha! Now she's trapped in limbo. You might as well give up. She's soulless. The true her gone, shouted the Crystal King.
Acorn looked again. She was still there, yet not there. Alive, yet dead. All her colours seemed to have disappeared. Her spirit was gone. She looked as if only half of her was there, yet half not. Evie! Spoke Acorn. No reply came. Acorn felt defeated, as if the battle was already over and he'd lost. Evie was now a distant memory, left to be forgotten. However, Rory ran at the Crystal King, screaming how Limbo had tortured her. That's when Acorn realized something. Limbo must be a place where the aliens had been. And so, he did a quick mental Google search for all he learned, and also used Central Computer to Google this. And after he got the Wi-Fi to work, yes, this is literal Google. This is Limbo. This is what it says on this website. Yeah, that's Limbo. Adolf said, I've heard those cells were made with all sorts of DNA to make the aliens, and Evie may be getting what happened to Crystally. That's when Acorn's two worlds collided, Evie and his reserve. If he truly had a concealing amethyst, he believed he could conceal the Crystal King to Limbo eternally and conceal the fact Evie ever was put there. Clustering all his courage, Acorn shouted at the top of his voice, The Crystal King! Return Evie's soul! But if that gallant spirit hath espied the clouds, either thou, or I, or both must go with. And so, with this vessel, I return Evie and banish thee. She shall not sail the endless sea and shall sail back. On opening their eyes again, they could see the Crystal King was nowhere to be seen. Also, Evie seemed whole again in her true self. Everyone helped clean up the reserve and settle Acorn and Evie into a new house. Acorn was now seen as a hero, and the aliens as guardians. Rory got a house, too. All were happy except Evie. Acorn asked Evie, when I was in Limbo, I saw things I shouldn't, and I need to end it. I go on a quest. And so the story ends. However, Acorn and Evie got married. And when Acorn and Evie returned, Acorn knew that they will live happily ever after. The end.
It's a whole paper to paper, but it's going to hold everything stronger. Tell you can use the PVA before. You'll do that by the way from the you stick some of it in the insides, okay? Put it in the straps, okay? And you stick on the inside.
Chapter 2. Chapter 2.
And Acorn. And guess what comes after I made the end scene? I made the end scene and then got this. This could have been this. Oh well.
Subscribe for more gift content.